What's up, guys? This is Pedro from My Stuttering Life, where you will hear the good, the bad, the very ugly. We're gonna laugh, we're gonna cry, but through it all, just know that you are not alone. So, let's get started. This is episode number 122, and my special guest is Owain Davies. Owen is a 22-year-old amateur content creator under the name The Broken Record. With an interest in all pop culture, he just aims to rid the world of gatekeeping and toxicity. Hi, I'm honored to have him as a guest with me on the My Stuttering Life podcast. Welcome, Owain Davies.
Hello. Happy and honored to be here.
I thank you, sir. This is a huge honor. We have a lot of topics to cover, so let's get started.
Awesome.
So, do you remember when you first began to stutter?
I do. It was... Well, I don't remember an exact age. I was young, really young. I remember even in my earliest memories that it was something I had to put up with and deal with. My first memory of it is being teased when I was only about 5 or 6. So it is something I've put up with for as long as I can remember.
Does it run in your family? Are there any family members who also stutter?
So in my family, the only one who I am aware of who has a stutter is my mother, and she had hers again for as long as she could remember. But as far as I'm aware, it was just me and her, because my father never had one, and my younger brother never got one either. So it was just us two.
Have you ever had speech therapy in school? And if you did, was it helpful?
I have done speech therapy. It is something that I've attempted a few times. Once when I was, I don't know, I must have been 11 or 12. I was quite young the first time I tried it, and I must admit that I don't remember gaining anything from it, but I think that might have been because I was so young when I tried it. I had another go at the age of, I would have been about 16, and I gained a few helpful, coping mechanisms, but again, it wasn't something that at the time I'd personally thought that I'd gained anything from. It was only the most recent time that I decided, hey, I'm at university now. I've got some independence. I'm gonna have another go, and I sorted everything out myself, and I went. And that time I went in with an open mind, wanting to help myself, and I did think that I'd gained some helpful insights and some helpful coping mechanisms from it.
So let's talk about school. All right, Owen, because, school's rough for
School, yeah.
For a lot of people, Owen. But for people who stutter, school is just a little bit more difficult. How did you navigate school with having a stutter?
So when I first started school, I young what we call primary school here in the UK. I was in Wales at the time, and I had quite a few friends, and nothing ever really sort of bothered me. I'd had a few minor incidents of teasing and stuff in the heat of the moment, but I was relatively okay. And then when I went up to what we call secondary school in the UK, I not only had I gone up to a new school, but I completely moved from Wales to a town in England. So I was completely away from all of my friends who I had grown accustomed to. And I was entirely by myself. I had no friends, and I was absolutely mercilessly bullied and picked on for the first 2 years of secondary school. And it was sort of around that time where I guess I accepted that this was a part of me at this point, and that I actually quite enjoyed being unique. And at that point, the words sort of started to roll off me, to bounce back, and at that point, I'd made a few friends, and school became a hell of a lot easier after that. But first 2 years were rough. They were really rough.
Ooh, Owen, I can relate, right? Pedro can relate, Owen. So I want to ask you the burning question, because woo. So, did you ever have to read out loud in school? And
yes, I did.
And how did that go, Owen?
So I loved my English classes. I loved reading. But the one thing that I always dreaded about my English classes was reading out loud. Because for the first few years, there were a fair few laughs and giggles when I would read out. But at the time, I think it was my year 9 English class, I had a really supportive English teacher who, even when I didn't want to, would very, very lightly encourage me to read out loud, to try and help me, and it did. I then would read out loud through year 9, year 10, and year 11 through my GCSEs, and it did really help. And I do think that me getting over my fear of public speaking sort of did come from her pushing me to read out loud in class.
Well, you know what? I'm glad that she had pushed you to overcome that fear, because I don't have to tell you this, Owen, but the number one fear of everybody in the world is public speaking. And so, I'm glad that she had helped you, to have that overcome. How did you handle the introductions on day one of school?
Day one of school, I was sort of laughed out of the room, I'll be honest. This big bumbling kid with a stutter. People didn't exactly take me seriously when I introduced myself. College, though, day one introductions, I was rather nervous, we'll say, when I first started college. But I went and I introduced myself, and things went so much smoother than I thought they were going to go. People accepted me. Nobody batted an eye at my speech impediment. They all thought I was just one of them, which is great because that's all I wanted.
How cool! I mean, for me, day one, when you have to stand up, and give your name and and everything else. I did that one. I did that one time, Owen. I did that one time, and it was horrible. I mean, the blocks, the repetitions, my hands were going all over the place. And mind you, I was 5 years old and I was extremely tiny. And so, I heard all of the kids just, pointing and laughing at me and calling me Porky Pig. And so after that happened to me one time, Owen, I said, that's it. This ain't never going to happen again. And so I would miss, and I would miss the first two days of school. All 12 years, Owen. All 12 years. And then, hold on, Owen. It gets even better. In college, in my undergrad, I missed the first 2 days. And then in graduate school, I missed the first 2 days. And then on the third day, I would just kind of, walk on in and find my chair and just kind of, be in the background. But I mean, those intros were just rough. However, nowadays, I do it. I still block and repeat. My eyes are closed. However, I just get it done because, I'm old, Owen. I'm tired. I'm an old man. You know what? I just get my name out. I'm Pedro Peña. How are you? And that's it. So, yeah, I mean, exactly. It was hard.
Well,
yeah.
I'm glad you're you, and I'm glad you're here.
Sir, dittos, sir. Huge dittos. Okay, now, so do you have any advice for parents and teachers and speech therapists with regards to children who stutter?
That is actually a really good question. I think the advice that I would give is, anyone would really try and do is be patient. In specific regards to being a teacher of someone who stutters, try and find out what specific things that child is comfortable with. For example, certain people don't mind it when you end their sentence for them. Certain people do. Find out what they are comfortable with, so you can make adjustments based on that. Try and not overbear and control them, but just make sure that things sort of at school and socially are going as okay as they say they are. I know that people with stutters can try and hide the fact they're being mistreated because of it, and sometimes finding out what happened can be the parent's job. So that's my advice personally, but obviously I am not a parent.
However, that is great advice. It's awesome, sir. I thank you so much. We are going to switch gears a little bit. Let's talk about jobs. Had you ever experienced discrimination because of your stutter?
So, there is back when I was, oh God, I would have been 16. I applied for a job at a very large fast food chain that I won't name. But I applied to just sort of be someone who would take orders and talk to guests. I had the interview, and pretty quickly after first speaking, they cut the interview short and said that they personally didn't think I was a good fit. So obviously I was never explicitly told it was because of my stutter, but you can't help but wonder in a situation like that. But the job I'm in now, I work for a hotel chain as a night shift receptionist. I love what I do. My bosses are all very understanding of my speech and of that it's part of who I am. And I have never been mistreated from staff for it. Drunk customers are a different kettle of fish. I've got a fair few horror stories about some horrible customers, but my bosses have never once thought of me any different because of it.
Well, I am happy that you are in a job that values you, because I mean, Owen, I mean, I don't have to tell you, I mean, for me, I can tell if I am being, discriminated against, and it does happen. I mean, it does happen. How did you handle job interviews? Because, as you know, job interviews are stressful for everybody, but for us, it's a little bit more stressful, Owen. So how did you handle the job interview?
So, to be honest, it just sort of involved me getting myself pumped up before the interview. I specifically remember the job I applied to before I got the one I'm working in now. It was very, very fancy restaurant, and I was stood in the car park outside, headphones in, psyching myself up, getting ready to go in. I had done my I would often practice answering questions that I thought they would ask in the mirror, so I could have those answers ready in my mind, and that is pretty much what I did with every interview. Is I would practice beforehand, in a hope that I would fare better in the interview, and perhaps those blocks and repetitions wouldn't appear as much. And sometimes it worked. Sometimes my nerves got the better of me.
Owen, I think we're twins, because when you were talking about, being in the parking garage, and practicing and psyching yourself out. When I had a job interview scheduled at 2 p.m., I would get there at 8 a.m. and be in the parking lot. And let me tell you, Owen, I would practice my name for 100 times and breathe and breathe and breathe. I would just do everything to get myself ready. And then at 1:45, I would hop in. And like you said, the nerves, they got the better of Pedro, and nothing came out. I was spitting all over the table. And I've had some horrible interviews. I've had some disastrous interviews. I've had people hang up on me and just walk me out the door. One time I hyperventilated, and the interviewer had given me her lunch bag to breathe into. And then she walked me out the door. It's like, Pedro cannot win. However, as I got older, I told myself, when I go in, I'm just going to tell them, look, I have a speech impediment. I have a stutter. If I have a block, my eyes are going to close. My arms will go all over the place. That's just me. And so once I did that, I got it out of the way. And then, I could focus on all of their questions, and that is when I was getting hired and hired and hired. But them job interviews, Owen, no. They were just rough.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to talk about our pandemic. Okay, now,
okay. Yep.
Those who worked in an office, they now had to work from home and, have a headset and have a webcam and, and had to do everything by Skype or Zoom or Teams. And this pushed tremendously people who stutter out of their comfort zones. How did you navigate this new normal?
That's a really good question. During the pandemic, I didn't have a job, so the whole moving work to Zoom didn't really affect me. But it heavily affected my university course, and suddenly we were going from in-person lectures to online, and in those online classes, I couldn't just sit there quietly with my camera off as I would have liked. They would encourage interaction and, Owen, answer this one for us, and it would just be me attempting to very, very quickly overcome blocks down the mic, and I don't think I made a very good impression in the first few classes, but they it was something that I had to I did have to navigate in a few cases with certain classes. I could I emailed my lecturer like, hey, I just want to let you know that I might need a bit more time to answer some questions because I have a stutter, and they were extremely receptive of that. They were happy that I'd let them know. And there were certain classes where it seemed that, like, nothing changed, and I would still get called on and sort of expected to answer in the same amount of time. It really did sort of push me out of my comfort zone.
Let me tell you, Owen, I mean, whoo. I had to tell everybody, either on Zoom or Teams, that it is not your internet connection. Pedro is just going through a block. He's having to repeat, so it's not your internet connection, it's just Pedro. And so, I am there with you, Owen. I mean, woo. I mean, it's, it's, to me, with having done, videos, on YouTube, and podcasting, but here, this is a whole different animal, because, it's your colleagues, it's your schoolmates and professors and your bosses and your managers. And so, I mean, it took me a while, but Owen, I had to practice. I called up a buddy, and, I had asked him, I need your help, because now I have to do everything on Zoom and Teams. So I need your help. And so I spent the whole weekend, and I practiced and I practiced and I practiced. And so that way, on Monday morning, I still had some hiccups, but I had practiced the entire weekend. For me, each time I practice, I got just a little bit better and just a little bit better. So,
exactly.
I believe in practicing, rehearsing, because, it really does work. So I thank you, sir, for that. Okay. Let's go.
In something else, actually, that people forget affected stutterers during the pandemic, actually, was face masks. I hated wearing face masks. because it not only did it cover my mouth that would often show people that I was at least trying to speak, but even then it restricted what I was saying even further, and I'm not sure if that's something you would have experienced as well. But it wasn't great. I wore my mask, but I didn't like doing it.
Ooh, let me tell you, Owen. I mean, I would have a lot of people tell me, I just asked you a question. If I didn't have on the mask, you would have seen that Pedro is trying to answer your question. But I mean, it is extremely difficult, difficult to have on a mask and trying to talk to another person if you are, if you have a stutter, because we have to work like 20 times harder, than everybody else in trying to just get out what we want to get out. And so, those masks were just rough. They were rough.
Yeah.
Okay. So, we are going to switch gears a little bit and talk about some ADLs. And these are activities of daily living. I want to talk about 1, the telephone. And number 2, ordering in a restaurant. And then also number 3, going through a drive-through. Would y'all term takeaway or carry out?
Yeah. Yeah.
How did you handle all of those ADLs?
Talking on the phone is something that is a pretty regular part of my job. Obviously, sometimes 3 a.m. someone phones up and has a question about the hotel or about booking, and it's my job to point them in the right direction. But when I am to the phone, I have to greet them with the name of the hotel, and almost immediately there's a block, like exclusively. So I have to fight my way past that every time to let them know that there is in fact someone at the other end of the phone. And obviously a lot of the people I deal with on phones are quite drunk, so they're not very understanding of the fact that this guy is trying to talk to them. They're just being impatient. I've only really ever had one issue with a drive-through, and it was when the person in the drive-through told me that they just couldn't understand me and asked to talk to the driver instead. And that happened years ago, and honestly, it's still something I think about. It really made me feel just terrible about myself, and I thought I had made all this progress on my speech, and then in a single sentence, this drive-through woman had utterly torn it down. And then, well, what was the other thing? Takeaways, answering the phone.
Ordering at a restaurant.
Ordering in a restaurant. That's something that I've developed a bit of a system for, in the fact that I just constantly go over those 3 or 4 words that I am about to say in my head over and over and over. I'd like a lasagna, 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 and this person asks me, and suddenly I completely forgot what it is I want. There's blocks, there's repetitions, it's all gone wrong, it's horrendous, everything's a disaster. I have a system, not saying my system works, but it's just the system I go by.
Let me tell you, Owen, when I'm at a restaurant and I'm having a hard time, I just point. This is what I want.
Yeah.
Right there. Wham, bam. It's all handled. And then, going through a drive-through, what I tell everybody is that people who stutter, we are creative, we are courageous, we are resilient, and we are resourceful. Speaking of resourceful, when I had to go through drive-thrus, and so here in Texas, we have like hamburger, hamburgers, and then there's like, tacos and chicken and Mexican, and Thai food. So what I did was, because we are resourceful and creative, so I bought a tape recorder that had a micro cassette. And so I went home, and so I practiced every order that I had wanted from each of those, takeaway places. And so one day, I went to the hamburger one, and I drove up. I said, I got this. Owen, I got this. I am super confident. All I have to do is push play and hold out that tape recorder over to the speaker. Pedro is good. Until, Owen, the girl had asked me, may I help you? Da-da-da. I push play, and then I dropped it. And then my whole world came crashing down in less than 2 seconds. And so then I opened the car door. Okay. And mind you, I have cars behind me. I pick up the tape, tape recorder. The, tape had popped out. And so, I put it back in, and then I push play, and then I hold it out. And what happened, it was the order for tacos and not hamburgers. And the girl was like, what? And then I try to say hamburger, like, I have a hard time with my H's. I do heavy breathing. And then she's like, I'm going to call the police. So I just drove away. And that happened, Owen, that happened over 20 years ago. 20 years ago. It's still in my head, Owen. It's still in my head. I'm trying to let it go, Owen. I'm trying to let it go. But I mean, like what you were, telling me that one time that it happened to you, you still remember it. And so, that was rough. So, okay. So I want to ask you this question. Do you think that it is important for people who stutter to have a thick skin?
I think that living with a stutter, you do kind of have to develop one, because it's something that can be so prominent and impactful on a sentence and how a conversation will go, and it's something that's so, I guess, easily identifiable, and by that case, easily mockable, and if you don't develop a thick skin, it really is going to bog you down, and weigh heavily on you. Like, I think I've got a pretty thick skin with, in regards to it, but even now, I still think of certain comments that people had said to me, and even years later, if you do have a thick skin, it does get to you.
Oh, I mean, you are correct, because, I didn't have one until I turned 40 years old, Owen, the big 40. And so, everything that I heard from everybody who mocked me and teased me, I took all that in, and I believed it. Because, people were calling me slow. They were calling me stupid. They were, telling me that I have a form of mental retardation. I'll never get a job. I'll never have a career. I'll never, get married. I mean, However, when, I got older, it just hit me. It's like, no, I'm not going to listen to anybody else, because I know that Pedro's awesome. And once I had spoken that out loud, all of the, mocking, and, teasing, it didn't really have an impact on me. However, you do have those people, and, I call them evil, who make those comments, and then, it does sting. However, it doesn't, linger on. So, yeah. Okay. So I want to ask you this. What is the legal age of drinking in the UK?
18.
18. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Here in the States, it's a 21. So I want to ask you this. If you did partake, in alcohol, had you noticed a difference in your stutter?
With alcohol, I think it obviously depends on the level that you drink, because there'll come a point where words no longer have any meaning. But I think after a few, either it becomes less prominent, or I just notice it less. I'm honestly not sure which one it is. But after a few, it doesn't really bother me at that point. Yeah.
Okay, Owen. I think we are twins because after I have like 2 rum and cokes, okay, and that's my limit, Owen. 2 rum and cokes. I don't even hear it anymore. I don't even think I do it anymore. And so I've had a lot of people tell me, Pedro, you should drink all day. If you drink all day, you are going to be fantastic. I said, no. It is not a viable option for Pedro right now.
And that's how addictions start.
Exactly. It's like, no. I mean, no. I can't do that. However, after I've had 2 rum and cokes, I don't even hear it. I mean, I don't even, pay attention to it. I'm just having a good time. So, I was just a little, curious, how that had, an impact, on you, sir. So, okay. So I want to talk about secondaries. There are a lot of people in our community who call them crutches. However, for Pedro, it's called survival, Owen. I have to survive, so I will do whatever it takes to get the word out. Okay, now I do accents. I do a Cockney accent, Owen, but I'm not going to do it because it's I don't want you to hate me. But I do just a whole I do a bunch of secondaries to help me however that I can help myself to get the words out. Do you do them as well?
So I think the big thing that I do is I often find myself overemphasizing certain letters. For example, whale, whelmed. I find that those words are often words that catch me out, but if I overemphasize the wh, it gets me through it. And something that my friend actually noticed, and not me, is that I don't stutter when I do an accent. Because I love playing like Dungeons and Dragons, and I give all of my characters like unique voices and accents, and I had this half orc called Grotagula who spoke with a like very bad like American drawl, sort of like South American, and that while I was in character as Grotagula, I wouldn't stutter, and then I would drop the accent and it would come back. So I do like 100% relate, because I've been there.
Ooh, let me tell you, Owen. I mean, I have a toolbox. I have it in my head, and whatever I need, I pull out of it. I mean, whether it's tapping on, on my head or tapping my leg or doing an accent, because, my goal, is that, it's called survival. So Pedro has to survive, and this is how he's going to do it. And so,
exactly.
There are a lot of people who, in our community who don't like it. However, we're all different. We're all different in our journeys. So,
precisely.
Okay. So, do you ever experience, phases in your speech? As to where there are times when everything comes out and there are times when nothing comes out. Do you ever experience phases in your speech?
Yes, certainly. I do have what I call my bad days and what my housemates call my worst days, when it just seems like nothing will come out. Sentences are almost impossible. It's like being faced with a giant wave and just utterly no way through it. I do have these days. I don't know why they come about. It just often seems like some days are just worse than others. But I always sort of try my best to never let these days get the better of me. I still try and carry on as normal, but some days you just can't, you're out and you're out somewhere and you just find that communication at that point is no longer a viable option.
Oh, Owen, I completely share that with you because, there are days when just everything comes out and people tell me, you don't stutter, you're faking it. It's like, no.
Yeah.
Why would I fake this? Oh, you want attention? I said, no. I do not want attention. It's random. It comes out whenever it wants to come out. It's if I had control, which I don't. It's just no. I'm not. I have my days where everything comes out. I have other days, zip. Nothing comes out. And it's like, okay, I just have to keep on keeping on. I never stop. I never quit. I keep on moving. So here is a hot topic. We have a couple of hot topics. Now, you answered this, I believe. You had hinted at it. However, I want the full answer, Owen. So here's this hot topic question. Are you ready?
Of course. Lay it on me.
It is super hot. So hold on. All right. So here we go. So do you let others help you finish your sentences? Dun, dun, dun.
This is a hot topic. Personally, no. I am in conversation. I am what I would call fiercely independent. My thoughts are my own, and I have every right to finish my own sentence. I've dealt with so many people finishing my sentences. sometimes even friends. I have to remind them that, hey, I don't like this. Can you not do that? It is something that I dealt with so much at school specifically. Even teachers would finish my sentences for me. And the thing is sometimes they don't even finish it right. They say, oh, so-and-so, right? That's like, that isn't what I was going to say at all, which you would know if you had let me finish my own sentence.
Oh, yes, sir. And you know, with having them getting it wrong, it just adds to, the irritation, the frustration, the agitation. It's like, no, hold up. I'm going to get it out. You know what? It may take me 8 hours, but guess what? I'm getting it out. So all I want from you is your patience, your respect, courtesy, and some eye contact. I may not have eye contact, but I'm still working on it. I may not have it, but I kind of want it from you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, oh, yes, sir. Okay. So have you ever experienced negative self-talk?
All the time. There was there's a joke in my house with the people I live with that no one can hate me more than I hate myself. And yeah, exactly. It's I am always second guessing myself, talking to myself in a negative light. Even sometimes making comments about my own stutter because I'm annoyed at myself because I can't get something out. Like when I'm recording a TikTok, there are so many outtakes that you don't see of me having a bad block and then just ridiculing myself and mocking myself because it's what I think I deserve. It's something that I do deal with, and it's something that I've just accepted as sort of something that comes with it. It's just part of it.
Owen, I want to tell you, I've had mine since age 6. Okay, now I am now 52, Owen. I am 52. At the age of 40, I gave mine a name. I call him Oscar the Grouch. And let me tell you, Owen, Oscar, he would pop up on the daily. Yeah. You know you can't do that. You know you can't talk. You know you can't order at a restaurant. You know you can't do this. Why are you even doing it? It's just stop. Just stop. And so I would hear him, Owen, every day, every other hour. I would hear him and I would believe him. He had control over my entire life for decades. Until 40, Owen, until I gave it a name, I took back the power. I took back control. And after I named him, when he would pop up, and believe me, he pops up, even to this day, he pops up, I shut him down. I say a couple of colorful words because, I am from Texas. I cannot say on this podcast because It's a family show. But I shut him down, Owen. And when he goes away, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. So, I mean, ooh, yeah, the struggle is real, Owen. The struggle is real. So, yeah, I am right there with you. All right, so here's a head scratcher. So I ask every guest and all, and then all 120 of them. I'm so blessed. It's just awesome. So all of their answers are split right down the middle. We're all different, Owen. We're all unique. We're all different. So I want to ask you this head scratcher. So when you are alone, can you speak without stuttering?
That is a head scratcher. Fair point. That's a good question. I like that. I must admit this might be a bit of a cop-out answer. I don't actually know. If I do, I don't notice it. I don't actually know, and to be fair, I do talk to myself a lot, and it's now something I'll be looking out for, but it's
I'm sorry, I put that in your head. I apologize, Owen. I apologize. Speaking for me, and I mean, I do it. When I wake up in the morning, I talk to myself. I go over my calendar, in my head, and I still block and repeat. So, I mean, we're all different. We're all different. So, and so that's your homework. If you want to get back with me, it's all good, sir. It's all good. I appreciate you, Owen. I appreciate you. Okay. So, do you find that your stutter, gets worse if you are stressed or if you are tired, if you have, anxiety?
Absolutely. I'm not sure if it's something that applies to everyone with a stutter. I would personally assume that it is. But I find that specifically anger and stress really flare it up, as I call it. Tired, not quite sure if it flares up when I'm tired, because as far as I'm concerned, I'm tired all the time anyway. But no, it is something that I often find, like when I'm stressed out at work, it does get the better of me. It does increase tenfold, and oftentimes then I'm even more stressed out that it's flared up, so it gets even worse, and it's just a continuous cycle then of a series of worse and worse blocks and repetitions that I've just got to wait for myself to calm down to overcome.
Do you find yourself at the end of the day completely exhausted and drained because of the stuttering?
All the time. Absolutely all the time, every day.
Yes, so I'm Owen. I mean, I don't have to tell you, but when I wake up in the morning, until I come home, and put my head on my pillow. I am exhausted because all day long I blocked and repeated. All of my organs are tense all day long. I'm breathing. I'm doing my positive affirmations. I do all that. And then at the end of the day, I have nothing for anyone else, Owen. Nothing. I want to sit in the silence. I want to enjoy the silence, and then, tomorrow it'll be another day. So yeah, I'm drained at the end of the day.
Yeah.
All right. So Owen, has this ever happened to you? So, let's say you have a doctor's appointment and you head on over there. And so you walk into the office and the admin person, they greet you. Hi, good morning. And what is your name? And then you have a block, Owen, but I'm not talking just a regular block. I mean, this is a block. And then after a long pause, the admin person asks you, did you forget your name? Has that ever happened to you, Owen? Tell Pedro. Talk to Pedro.
Yes, Pedro, it has. So, not really in the environment of a doctor's appointment, but in a nightclub, this guy approached me and asked, he goes, oh, what's your name, mate? And it was at that point that I experienced just one of the worst blockages that I've just ever had. It was horrendous. And I just sat there looking at this guy, trying to get my word out, trying to get my name out, and eventually I did. And he looked at me and go, you forget your name? How much have you had? And it's like, I'm not even that drunk. I've just got a speech impediment.
Oh my gosh. I mean, Owen, if I had a quarter for every time it happened to me, I would have 8 Range Rovers in my driveway. I would have a house in Greece and maybe in Bali, because it's like, how did you ever think I would forget my name?
Yeah.
The old Pedro, the old angry who had ulcers in high school because of this. The old Pedro, I would get upset and just rage on them. However, the older Pedro, what I do now is I educate. And so that way, for the next time that they have a person in front of them that has a speech impediment, that person, they will be more open and respectful and courteous and professional. For me, it's all about education. Here is what I have. This is what you're going to see. This is what you're going to hear. This is just me. And all I want is, common courtesy and respect. That's all that I want. And some eye contact. I won't give it to you, but I want for you to give it to me. I'm still learning, Owen. I'm still learning at 52, Owen. I'm still learning. It's all good. All right, sir. All right, so here is an extremely powerful question. I ask all my guests. The answers are split right down the middle. I respect everyone's answers. So, do you consider stuttering as a disability?
That's a big question. That's a really big question. Yes, yeah, I would say that I do. It's something that even if you're at peace with the fact you have it, the fact that it's a part of you, it can still negatively affect your life in ways that you can't predict. And I would say that that is pretty much the exact meaning of a disability. And stutters do fall into that category, at least in my mind.
Thank you, sir, for that. So, in talking about your career path, do you think that your stutter might hinder your career path?
That's an answer that I constantly go back and forth on. I want to be a journalist.
That is awesome.
Thank you. I see all these news stories about people with stutters becoming like big, well-known actors, and that this actor was a stutterer growing up, and this actress, and so on and so forth. And then when you get to journalism, the news stories that you usually end up seeing are things like journalists mocked for speech impediment online, and journalists heckled for stutter. And it's when I see the headlines like that it does make me second guess my career choice, and perhaps rethink my path. But then I sort of think about how much I enjoy journalism and how much it interests me, and it does set me straight. It is just a case of how much my passion for my career can outweigh all of the negativity that you see.
Let me tell you, Owen, I want to see you out there. I want to see you out there as a journalist. Oh my gosh. I mean, I don't know. I have goosebumps. If that is your passion, go for it. 100%. Don't care what because, grandma, she had some great advice. Here's what she said. And she from back in the country. People are going to talk about you from the day that you are born until the day that you die. Why expend all your energy on what other people are talking about you? Why? Let it go. They're talking about you, and that means you must be important. So, I mean, I will have it put out there in the universe, Owen. You are going to be an amazing, outstanding journalist. Because what I tell everybody, you want us on your team. You want to hire us. We are resourceful, creative, courageous, resilient, and we work 100 times harder than anybody else. Anybody else. And, oh, man, Owen, I mean, I got some serious goosebumps happening, sir. So let's move on because I see nothing but success in your future, sir. Oh, my gosh. Okay.
Honored.
All right. So here's another hot topic. Woo, we got another hot topic. Hold on. It's burning my hands. Hold on. All right. So here we go. Here we go, Owen. So let's talk about dating. Okay. As you know, dating is, a little hard for everybody. However, if you have a stutter, it's like 1,000,000 times more difficult. How do you navigate dating with having a stutter?
Yeah, that's it is hot topic. This one, it is something that that affects us.
That's why I'm here, Owen, to ask the difficult questions.
I'm not single. I am happily in a relationship. And when I first met my partner, we met how a lot of modern couples do nowadays through the world of online dating. And I informed her way in advance that I had a stutter, and look, it's a first date. I'm going to be nervous. It might kick up a little bit, but I met them, and it went just so well. They were so understanding about it. I can't say that every first date I ever had was that understanding of it. But it worked out, and I am a very, very lucky man, let me tell you.
How cool. Awesome, 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 Owen. That is awesome. I mean, people, they will love you for you. It doesn't matter if you have a stutter. It doesn't matter if you're bald or have a mohawk or purple hair or have piercings. It doesn't matter. And so what I tell everybody, don't put so much pressure on yourself. Just go do it. If you bomb, oh, well, everyone bombs. Everyone bombs. Even Hollywood actors, they bomb. You know what? So, you don't quit, and then you just go and try again and try again and try again. So, I mean, yeah. So, I am happy for you, Owen. Awesome, awesome,
Thank
awesome.
you.
Okay, so what do you think about all this new technology? We have Google Home, we have Siri, and we have Alexa. Do you think all this new AI technology is helpful or hurtful for people who stutter?
So, I have a Google Home. I think it's great. I love it. I mean, personally, for me, it is pretty much just a glorified speaker and newsreader, but it understands me okay-ish. I've never really had much of a problem with it. I do think, though, that a lot of these devices could benefit from having, like, a stutter mode where it will specifically detect if the user has a stutter so it can better adapt. The fact that these devices don't have a mode like this sort of means that we're not speaking loud enough. We've got to get our voices heard more, because I know other people with stutters who hate things like this because it just won't pick their voice up. And they want to use them, they want to buy them, but there's just, in their mind, there's no point because it won't work for them. And we've got to keep shouting and tweeting and talking about topics like this until these devices are accessible for everyone, and I do mean everyone.
Well, Owen, I have some really good news for you. I have participated in 2 college research studies regarding, the Google Home, the Siri, and the Alexa, and they are creating a new algorithm to help people who stutter, because I have a hard time with all of them. They don't give you enough time to respond. They only give you like a second, and and for Pedro, I need like half an hour to just breathe. When they only give you a second to respond, it's like, I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. And then, I try again, and yeah, it's frustrating. It's frustrating. However, there is hope down the road. So I am extremely happy about that. So yeah.
As am I. That's good. Fantastic news.
Yes, sir. Okay, so what is a challenge speech-wise that you had to overcome, and how did you do it?
A challenge that I have faced speech-wise is, I think it was starting my TikTok, actually. I had always wanted to make things and talk about the things I am passionate about, like comic books and all these things, but I'd never had that courage to do so. I'd always been too scared that the negativity would outweigh the positivity. And with a lot of pushing from housemates and gentle encouragement, and even some practicing in the mirror about certain topics, I did. I overcame that massive wall, and I love it. I wouldn't have it any other way, and it has led me to some fantastic opportunities, like being here, for example.
Awesome, sir. Awesome. Woo! All right. So here is another one of those questions. It's kind of deep. However, I respect everyone's answer. So here it is. Do you think that it's okay to stutter, or is it important to keep chasing the fluency gods?
Ooh, yikes, that is a big question.
That's why I'm here, Owen.
Asking the big ones.
The big ones, yes, sir.
I think it is perfectly okay to stutter. I think 100% fluency is something that to some people it would be considered as a utopia, where everyone speaks perfectly and that's fine. But in my opinion, that world just sounds a little bit boring. Like, we're the people that make conversations interesting, because the way we speak is so unique, and I think that's perfectly okay. If people want to chase the fluency dragon, I am 100% supportive of them. But me, I'm quite comfortable where I am. Sure, I would like some ways of managing it a little better, but as far as I'm concerned, my stutter makes me who I am, and I am 100% comfortable with that.
Awesome, sir. I thank you for that. So what has your stutter taught you?
Patience. It's taught me to be more mindful of others in conversations. You never know if the person you're talking to might be dealing with a stutter or another type of speech impediment. But yeah, a big one is patience, and a big one is kindness. Being cruel to someone with a stutter is going to do nothing. It's just going to make them resent you. A bit of kindness can go a long way, long way, and I think that's all anyone with a stutter wants, is to be treated like they're just part of the conversation, part of the gang.
Ooh, sir, that is an awesome answer. I thank you so much for that. And so what advice would you give to another person who stutters?
Take your time. Keep saying what you're going to say. What you have to say is just as important as what anyone else does. Your voice is just as important as anyone else's. Keep it up. You're doing a great job.
That's awesome, sir. Whew, man. Okay. Ooh, I got more goosebumps. All right, so here is our last question, and it's a doozy. It's a big one. It's a big one. So here we go. So if you had the opportunity to give insight about stuttering on the world stage, what message would you convey?
Oh, blimey. I think what I would say on the world stage is that we doubt ourselves enough. We all have our horrible inner voice, our Oscar the Grouch. We've all got one. And all we want is to just be part of your conversation. We just want to be properly represented. We want to be properly accepted. And we just want to talk with you guys. Show a bit of kindness, show a bit of patience, and just get to know us.
Ooh, Owen. Owen, let me tell you. That was awesome.
Thank you.
And so, you know, I wanted to just tell you, Owen, thank you. This has been a huge honor. I mean, you are just awesome. I want to thank you for sharing your story, because I believe there's healing in sharing. And so, you know, I want to tell you, thank you. You are a huge inspiration for all. And so this has been just the best conversation. I want to thank you for that.
I am honored to have been here. I have had a fantastic time, and you are doing this world a favor by doing this podcast.
Ooh, sir. Thank you so much. Okay, now, my podcast is in 61 countries on 6 continents. My goal is at 1 person in Antarctica. It is still my goal. However, if any one of my amazing global listeners want to reach out to you, what would be the best way?
So, if you're a fan of comic books, I have a TikTok channel where I talk about comic books and pop culture under the name of The Broken Record. You can find me there. Alternatively, if you want to follow me on Twitter and find out when I'm drinking a coffee, I'm also on Twitter as The Broken Record. Those are the best places to find me. Come find me. We'll have a conversation.
All right, sir. Awesome. I will have all of those links in the podcast show notes, and so that way anyone around the world can go there, and find that link, and they can find you. And one last time, Owen, I want to say, sir, you are just #awesome. You are fantastic. You are outstanding. I am honored and privileged to know you and to speak with you. And I just want to say thank you. It has been an awesome conversation. I know it's still in the morning here, and then in the afternoon in the UK. And so I want to thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you. I am once again honored to have been here and honored to have met you.
Thank you, sir. Likewise. You have an awesome afternoon. Take care, be well, and stay safe.
Have a wonderful morning.
Thank you, sir.
If you like this podcast, head on over to Apple Podcasts. Subscribe, rate, and review. Thank you for listening, and we will talk again.